Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. To all of my subscribers, you guys know I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your support. If this is your first time visiting my channel and you have not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can come and hang out with me every time I upload a video. Alright, so this is my review, Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 5. The couples have now been married for 3 days. And you guys know how I do. I like to start off with what I call the mild marriages. I don't want to say boring, but the ones that are pretty much um, steady and stable for now. So let's start with Derek and Katie. They're having breakfast on the balcony, basically bonding over their love of cheese. Later, they get ready to go out to meet the other couples at the pool, and Katie has on her bikini, and we all know she's been waiting to climb Mount Derek since the wedding night. Anyway, she asked him before they leave. She asked him to help her with her insulin. Now, I don't know if this was her way of just seeing how he would react because I mean she's been giving herself shots of insulin for years, so she it's not like she needs help doing it. So I just chalked it up to maybe she just wanted to see if he would do it and how he would react. I mean, that's just how I looked at it. Um, on to Jessica and Austin. They went visiting the iguana house and basically just talking and laughing, having a good time. Austin is always telling a joke or a story, and Jessica's, always laughing. Not really much going on there. And this is all that they're doing prior to meeting up with the couples. So Mike and Mika, the last episode, they had an argument. Mike left. He went to get another room. So the next morning, during Mika's confession, she was, reflecting on everything that had transpired, was saying how it made her feel like the marriage was headed for divorce, and because of that, it made her feel like a failure. Meantime, Mike is in his room. He's ordering breakfast and talking about how it bothers him when he tries to express himself and it's not received or understood. And he says that, but my thing is, what was there to misinterpret? Because you, according to Mika, you came out and said, if you don't have sex with me on the honeymoon, I'm not feeling this marriage. I don't know what is she supposed to get out of that? Is she supposed to think you're playing? It like that's what you said, so that's how she took it. He was saying that, his goal was to fix, find his wife, talk it over, and make amends. So we have Taylor and Brandon. So they're in the bed, and Taylor is recording Brandon sleeping. Now, if you guys remember on the plane ride over, he was asleep and she was recording him then. So apparently Brandon snores, and I guess she finds it funny. I don't know, but she tends to pull out a camera every time. So this time they're in the bed. He's asleep. He's snoring. She pulls out her phone and she starts recording him. So when she starts to talk to the camera, or her phone rather, it wakes him up. So he wakes up and he turns and looks at her. He gets up. He runs out the bed, and later, he's in the mirror getting ready. Taylor comes over and asks him, where they're gonna go parasailing that day. And he flat out ignores her. She walks over, she gives him a hug, she asks him again, and he gives her this look like, girl, if you don't get away from me. Like, he just had this look You could see it in the mirror because he was still in the mirror when she came over. She then tries to kiss him by leaning in. He moves over. He's just, and it's like he's not, at this point, he's not even giving her eye contact. He's staring in the mirror the whole time, not saying a word. So, Taylor, she's not giving up. She's sitting on the counter, she's smiling, and she says, I get a little hangry. What about you? At this point, he turns around, walks away, goes onto the balcony, and closes the door. I can't say that I was really surprised. Well, no, I will say I was surprised. And now it makes sense when his grandmother, his aunt, and his mom was saying how he could be very blunt and, you know, uh, basically mean. All the words they used equal mean, and then it makes me wonder how he acts towards them, because just because a man is raised by a lot of women doesn't mean he's respectful, doesn't mean he respects them. And I can almost guess that Brandon has been disrespectful to his mom, grandma, or aunt. If not all, at least one of them. He just, and they probably spoiled him. He's the baby boy, and they probably spoiled him. And he just has this. You could just tell, for him to behave like that quickly and to that extent. Yeah. So Mindy and Zach, they wake up. Zach is asking Mindy, what are we doing today? Like nothing happened the night before. Mindy's confessional, she mentioned last night, Zach says that it's weird because he feels like, in a way, he's being forced to make things work with someone he doesn't have a spark with. Now, I caught a little bit of the pre show with Jamie Otis, and I caught the part where Mindy was talking about Zach and things that he said. So on that show, Mindy revealed that Zach has told her on 3 occasions that he was not attracted to her. Now, keep in mind, they've only been married for 3 days. So you're married for 3 days, and 3 times he has told you he wasn't attracted to you. Anyway, they're sitting on the bed and they're talking, and Mindy, she's upset and she has tears coming down her face. She's telling him how she feels that um he's not attracted to her, how it's making her feel. He starts talking in circles. He's really bad at talking. He just talks in circles, and it's almost like he feels like if he just says a bunch of words, she'll get sick of it and she'll just back off and won't bother him. Um so she cries even more, and he's rubbing her back, and he's like, it's something that you have to build on, and just saying a lot of nothing. And so she, as he's talking, Mindy, she's making faces like, what is this dude talking about? And she even said it in her confessional. She's like, he talks, he says a lot, but it's not a lot. It's a lot of nothing, and it's confusing. She doesn't know where he's coming from, what he's talking about, and it's almost like what he's saying has no relations to what she's talking about. So anyway, they are now all meeting at the pool, all of the couples. Well, everybody but Mike. Mike isn't there yet. Now, Brandon and Taylor comes happy go lucky, like he didn't just have a whole meltdown in the room a few minutes ago. He's coming down, hey, what's up? He's talking. Mika comes down by herself. Um, then of course the question starts coming. So it started off with Brandon. Brandon asks, where's your hubby at? And Mika's like, I don't know. That's a good question. Brandon says, well, maybe he's still sleeping. Then Jessica, she comes in. Is he still sleeping in the room? Now, I like Jessica and all, but I'm like, did you not just hear Mika say she doesn't know where he is? Like, put two and two together. So apparently, Katie wasn't listening at all, because then she turns around and asks, did he sleep in the same room with you? Mindy, with her little miserable, messy self, wants to know why they're sleeping in separate rooms, as if her and Zach shouldn't be sleeping in separate rooms on separate flights on their way to divorce. I'm like, my thing is this. I'm the type of person, I don't like to see people ganged up on, as far as like you're loading all these questions, especially when you see that they're upset or they're hurting and they're going through something. I hate to see it, and I never do it. I never participate in it. I would be the one in the group trying to change the subject to take the spotlight off of someone. I feel like what I do, if a situation like this, I would change the subject later on. You go to the person, hey, I see you're upset. If you want to talk, I'm here. How about we get together later on, have some drinks, and I'll just listen. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes people need to process what's going on themselves before they can even talk about it. Sometimes people don't want your input, they just want you to listen and hear them vent. And sometimes people want advice. And then there's some people who just don't care and they'll just come out and say whatever. I think Mika handled it pretty good though. You know, she answered the questions without giving too much. But she wasn't rude about it. You know, she didn't seem to have attitude. And I like the fact that even though her marriage wasn't how she wanted it to be at that time, she was still participating, still engaging, and still, you know, showing that she was happy for the other couples. So, anyway, Mike finally shows up and he walks in all hunky dory like nothing's going on. He walked past Mika, didn't say anything. He sits down where Derek was sitting, and so I believe it was Brandon that was asking him, like, basically where he been, and he was saying that I think he was on calls or something, and he revealed that he had got a new job, that he was going to be a principal. So then Brandon talking about, oh, congratulations, you know, you got a, you know, you just got married and a new job. Oh, okay. Brandon, you could have left the marriage part out of. You could tell when people trying to like be funny. So they all congratulated him. Anyway, so the guys and the girls end up separating, have their little powwows. So the girls are in the pool and they're talking about how things are going so far. Katie and Jessica, of course, everything is fine for now. So wasn't much there. Mindy mentions Zach telling her he's not attracted to her. Her story is pretty much the same too. How he's not attracted to her, and how she was saying how she noticed how the other husbands treat their wives, and you know he doesn't do it, and she wants the same thing. In the meantime, like whenever whatever wife is speaking, then the camera will show the guys sitting together, and whatever wife is speaking, they'll show the husband speaking. So Mindy's talking, then the camera goes to the guy group. Zach is speaking, and you know he's talking about affection and attraction, and was saying how if he's not going to force the PDA. You know, if he's not attracted to you, it's hard for him to hold your hand, kiss you, hug all on you. He feel like it's something that needs to be built upon. So Mika asked who has consummated the marriage. And she was like, you know, let me guess. So she guessed Taylor and Jessica. Of course, both of them were like, nah, we just been doing some, you know, heavy kissing, cuddling, whatever. Nothing. No one has gotten to that point yet. So they all admit that none of them have consummated the marriage. Brandon was saying that he's been real close, and they haven't consummated the marriage, which we all know, but that they've gotten really close to doing so, and that they're so comfortable with each other that they walk around naked in the room. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know. Brandon strikes me as a type. He always wants to be the cool guy. He always wants to be, be perceived as he got it going on and all the girls love him. It just, I don't know. I just can't see them walking around the room naked. I just can't see it. But so Derek chimes in and he was saying how, they've gotten really close too. That he's really happy. Everything is going well with them. That, he's taking his time. He doesn't want to put pressure on Katie. And of course, the camera zooms to Mike looking all guilty and stupid. So Derek asked Mike, and his eyes started shifting side to side at a rapid speed. It was so creepy to look at. Um, so Mike giving the same rehearsed, response, saying how he's not in a rush, and he was like talking so fast and kind of stuttering. And he's like, I'm not in a rush. Everything is good. Um, we decided to wait. We didn't want to consummate the marriage right away. We're just taking our time. And he just kept saying, I'm not in a rush. So he was saying that, he wanted to build that bridge first, you know, before taking that next step, before taking that leap. So Mika is telling the girls what Mike says, what he said to her about as far as, consummating the marriage by the honeymoon, or he didn't want to be a part of it. So then, of course, Taylor, so Taylor's giving the women, she's giving a woman empowerment speech talking about, being disrespected, not dealing with it, speaking up, letting the guys know how they feel. So Mindy, she's all for it and like, yeah, and he's telling me he's not attracted to me, and he doesn't even think or ask if I'm attracted to him. And so then Katie made a little comment. Yeah, like what if you were attracted to, guys who were 6'5"? Because you guys know Zach is short. So anyway, so Mindy, her and Taylor, her her and Taylor and Mika have all been disrespected by their husbands, and so they were all basically having this moment of, we're not going to take it. We're going to put our foot down. We're going to tell these guys how we feel. So after the couples meet, we are with Taylor and Brandon. Okay, Brandon still has an attitude, and he's still not speaking to Taylor. So Taylor's like, okay, I'm going to try and be the bigger person and patch things up. So she says that she goes, gets his favorite beer. She brings it to him. And he's like, no, I don't want that. And she's like putting her hand up. Like basically he was dismissing her, like basically get out of his face. I don't want that. She said he left his clothes on the floor. She went to pick them up and he's having a fit about that. Don't touch his stuff. Don't touch him. Don't touch anything. Like he is really acting like a brat. So she's, during her confessional, she's like, look, he's really pushing my patience right now. She's like, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be like, okay, let's stop all of this. Let's make up. And he's getting worse, basically. He went from not saying anything to now he's coming at her like, don't touch his stuff and don't touch him. Finally did get together. He's talking about, waking up with the camera in his face, and he was talking, saying how, he was panicked. He had having a panic attack. He was shaking. And so now mind you, this is after everything went down, and they later on, I guess it was the pier or some deck they were sitting on having drinks and basically talking for the first time the entire day. So, he's saying that, oh, he was startled, he was shaking, he had a panic attack. And so Taylor, I don't know. you know, Taylor had a drink, so I don't know if it had gotten to her system, but she was looking like, really? So she basically was saying, it didn't seem like it was that serious. You didn't seem to act like you were scared. And then he responded, "Well, no, I was breathing, pretty deeply." Child. So she makes this face, like, "Are you serious right now?" Like, she was over it. So when he saw she wasn't buying it, he switched it up. And then he's like, "Well, it's been a while since, I've had someone in my life, and when he's going through something, he tends to retreat. But now that he has someone, he needs to understand that he can't always do that, and he has to work on that." And so then he apologizes. Now, let me say this. I get it. Sometimes people are upset. They want their time to themselves to get it together, so that things won't escalate. However, to say that I haven't been with someone in a while, regardless of how long it's been since you've been with someone, that doesn't excuse your behavior. You're a grown ass man. You should know by now that giving somebody the silent treatment, especially someone that you are with. Now, mind you, they've only been together for 3 days, but even if it's just, I don't know, a friend or a coworker or whomever, why are you acting like that? And then it escalated from the silent treatment to you being very rude and dismissive. So anyway, he apologizes, and Taylor, she wasn't letting up on him. She was like, "You should have talked to me. If you was feeling some type of way about what I did, then you should have just been like, hey, something you did bother me. I don't want to talk about it right now. I just need some space." She was like, "I understand if you need space. I would have respected that." She was like, but she thought that something was wrong with him because she didn't feel like what she did, there was anything wrong. It wasn't a big deal. She thought she was making a cute video of him snoring, and she didn't think that it was it would make him get upset, and that she thought that it was just weird that something like that small caused all of this. He seemed kind of bothered when she said that it just seemed weird. So she was like, "All you had to do was talk to me, let me know it bothered you, whatever." He gonna say, "Well, we just met 3 days ago, so I didn't know if it was gonna turn into a big blow up, or what was gonna happen. So I didn't know how to approach you." What are you talking about? And my thing is, okay, so you felt like if you said, "Hey, I'm upset right now, give me a minute," you didn't know how she was going to react to that. However, you turn around and ignore her in the morning, and then in the afternoon blow up at her. How did you think that? How do you think she was going to react to that? So it's like, you're full of shit. What you're saying, what you said initially, didn't she wasn't buying it, so then you switched it up. Like, he is just like Michael. You say something, the women not buying it, they pretty much calling you out on your stuff, and then you switch it up like, "Okay, that didn't work, let me try this." But she called him out on it. She called him out on it. So anyway, he tells her, he apologizes again, and it's something that he's going to work on. He wants them to work it out. He needs to work on his communication. So he was like, "But, I've already apologized. Like, you need to get over it." Okay, how do you apologize to somebody and then turn around and tell them they need to get over it? So Taylor came back with, "You will not disrespect me and talk to me any kind of way." So at that point, he readjusted, his attitude, and he said, he didn't know. That's when he went into the whole, he didn't know how to approach her and all of that BS. So after she got his, this little man child together, I mean, he just kept apologizing. He told her she was 100% right. And I took that as he was defeated. Like, "Look, I'm not going to go back and forth with her because I'm no match. She showed that she ain't putting up with it. whatever I got to say, she got something to say back. So let me just end this with, you were 100% right. They ended up kissing and making up. The next day, they visited the sloth sanctuary. And I swear, Taylor was purposely nitpicking with Brandon. Every joke, every little slick word was at his expense. And you could tell, now he was rolling with it at first, and he called himself throwing a little shade too, but you can tell after a while he just wasn't feeling it. Like it was getting under his skin, but they just had an argument, they just made up, so he wasn't trying to get it back, you know, on the bad side with her. Okay, so um Mindy and Zach decide to have wine on the beach. I would say it was extremely hard to focus because whatever that was, those little critters crawling on the ground behind them made me itch. Like oh my God, it was so, I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, were they crabs? Were they mice? Like what the hell were, oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, so Mindy talked about how it was good seeing the other couples, and she was telling him about her talk with the girls. Apparently Zach feels like Mindy threw him under the bus because she was telling the girls, how he was. So in other words, Zach is another, he's like Mike too, whatever is going on behind closed doors, regardless of how I'm treating you, you better not say anything. Like you want to present yourself as this certain type of guy or this couple when you're around everybody else, but then behind closed doors, you treating her like crap. So Mindy was like, she didn't feel like she was throwing them under the bus. They were talking, and she wants to be able to speak on her feelings. She's still tripping off of, the whole um, attraction thing, and she asked them like, what do I have to do, so that they can move forward. So Zach being Zach, he's still talking about building the attraction, and at this point, Mindy, I guess she got some wine in her system because she starts asking Zach, does he feel like everyone is attracted to him, and does he lead with his looks most of the time? So I guess that set a little fire under Zach booty because he seemed really bothered, and so he asked her if she thought that he his looks, he used his looks to his advantage, and he engaged based off of looks. And she's like, yep, yep, I do believe that. And so she's smiling the whole time, just nitpicking, and I ain't had no problem with it. So then, in Zach's fashion, he starts talking in circles again. So Mindy, but she was being very direct with her questions, and it appears, she brought Zach down a peg or two off that pedestal of his. He says that she hangs on, words for affirmation. And Mindy was like, well, you're not very expressive. So, any way you can give me affirmation of how you're feeling, what you're thinking, I'll take it. She was saying that, she's not talking about, at this point, it's like, look, I'm not even talking about, physical attraction. She wants to, she's talking about the core. Like, how do you feel about me, or what do you think about me, as far as substance? Like, we're not talking about attraction because you keep saying you got to build attraction. So forget that. And it was like, he always say he was looking for someone with substance, someone to challenge him mentally. He was tired of the superficial and the surface. So when she says, okay, no more talk about the physical attraction. I get it. You're not attracted to me. You're saying it's something you need to build on. So let's talk about substance. What about it? Do you like what I have, what I'm offering you, emotionally, mentally, if substance, like, in other words, okay, if you're not attracted to me but you like my personality, tell me that. Tell me that. Like, let's stop focusing on the negative and you not being attracted to me. Okay, we get it. let's talk about the positive things, or is there anything positive? So that's what she was trying to get at. Like, all right, and he got tongue tied. He there was nothing he could say. And that right there just goes to show you all he's been focusing on all this time is I'm not attracted to her, and he made it his point to tell her that constantly. So anyway, she asked him, so how are you feeling right now? And he's like, well, the way I feel right now, I just don't know about them. So the next day, they're on a boat, they're on their way to the village, they arrive, and they meet the locals, and basically they were in there. I guess this is where the people worked, like making baskets. And so Mindy, she attempted to make a basket, and Zach, he was encouraging her, telling her, she was doing a good job. Of course, she's smiling from ear to ear. It's like it didn't take much. He can pay her one compliment, and she's over the moon. It just doesn't take much to make her happy. So they're walking around, sightseeing, if you will. They end up back on the boat, and Mindy asked him, what was his favorite part of the day, and he said, being with you, being there with you. So I don't know if Zach is, who knows what Zach is doing, but I tell you what, I bet you he was shocked when they were on the beach and she was like, look, I'm sick of you talking about the superficial and the looks. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's talk about how you really feel, and let's get to some substance. So anyway, Jessica and Austin, they go for a couples massage, and afterwards, they were just sitting down, hanging out, talking about how their whole day, they didn't laugh, they didn't joke, they were serious and relaxed. And to them, that was a big moment. Like, it was almost like, ooh, we were adulting today. We didn't giggle and laugh like we normally do. That's a good moment. Anyway, they end up in the hot tub, and was talking about how the day was romantic. So my boy Austin asked, could he have a kiss? Well, no, he said, what did he say? Something about it would be nice to end it with a romantic kiss or something like that. So Jessica was like, are you asking for a kiss? He said yes. Y'all, I swear it was like watching two fish in a tank eating food. You know how you seen, like, you put fish food in the tank and the fish, how they move their mouths. That's how they look. Like, just awkward as all get out. Like, Jessica, she didn't even open her mouth. Her lips were like tight the whole time. So she had her types were just, her lips were tight. She just moving them back and forth. Austin got his mouth over top of her. It was just a mess. But so they stopped. They stopped. They looked at each other. They were smiling, and it was like they didn't know what to say. So they went back to kissing. It was, you know what? I really liked that. I thought it was cute. I thought it was cute because at this point we all know how they are. They're very, very awkward, but nonetheless, they're cute. They don't seem problematic right now. Derek and Katie, after the couples met up, the pool and all of that, they're back in the room. Well, they get back to the room, and Derek has a surprise for Katie. So he puts the blindfold on her, opens the door. There's rose petals and candles on the floor leading to the bed. And then on the bed, there's rose petals and a tray with dessert and wine. And this was all for, her birthday. So the next morning, they had a little small talk, little moment where they were saying how they were happy with each other, and happy with the whole experiment, and everything is going great. They're feeling each other, all of that. So the next morning is when they revealed that they did indeed consummate the marriage that night. So yeah, Katie got her birthday sex. Anyway, moving along to Mika and Mike. So Mika is on the phone with Pastor Kyle, talking about Mike, and so she tells him what Mike says to her. Now, so Pastor Cal, he's telling her, he's going to deal with Mike because he holds the men at a high standard, which, okay, I don't see it, but all right, we're going to go with that. He tells her that, Mike may have said some things he had no business saying, but he don't think that that's his real character. See, to me, that's making an excuse for him because, I mean, granted, everyone has said no. I believe that, okay, we everyone has may have said something at some point in time where you to you it may have seemed innocent. You didn't think it would offend someone, but it did. But there are certain things, there's no mistake how someone would feel. So basically, you just didn't care. You didn't think, you didn't care, you just said it. And this is one of those situations, in my opinion. Um, but to say that that's not his real character, it is his real character because then afterwards he turns around and he lies with a straight face. Like he was not budging and would not admit that he indeed said those things to her. Um, yeah, so he was like, I don't think that's his real character. He advised her, to hang in there, and why don't they just start over as friends, getting to know each other as friends, no pressure about marriage and things like that. Which I mean, that's what they all should be doing. It's like you're working backwards. The end goal when you meet someone and you're dating and getting to know them, the end goal is marriage. So okay, you're working backwards. You're married. Now you have to get to know each other, be friends, date. I don't understand why he had to remind them or advise them of that because that's basically what you're doing. I mean, now granted, you have some who feel like we're married, so we should immediately start acting like a married couple, which means the first thing or part of that is consummating the marriage. I personally don't believe that. I just feel like you're working backwards. Okay, we got married first, now let's get to know each other. Anyway, so yeah, his advice was, start over as friends, get to know each other, hang out without the pressure of, you know, marriage. So then Pastor Kyle calls Mike and, to hear his side of the story. And, Mike, it's like he struggled to get his story straight. He kind of talked in circles too, but then he basically was repeating his rehearsed response, he wants to wait, he didn't want to pressure her, all of that. So Pastor Cal didn't really sound like he was believing what Mike was saying, but he did advise him that yeah, you're married, so of course, you're probably thinking like, hey, why not? But it's not that simple for everybody, and basically you're still strangers. Um, and you should take your time, and if you have a question, ask her, but understand that if you ask the question and she isn't comfortable talking about it, you need to let it go. You know what I mean? So I guess if he kind of hints at sex and she shuts down, let it go. Like don't turn around and give her an ultimatum, basically. Um, yeah, so he was like, just everyone at this point, it's only 3 days. So everyone should be having fun, getting to know each other. Like y'all shouldn't be dealing with this. Um, so Mike and Mika, they meet back up. They're outside, and Mika mentions her conversation with Pastor Cal and how he suggested, let's be friends without the pressure of the title marriage. You know, if you take that part out of it and let's get to know each other and date, maybe things can work out. So Mike is like, he doesn't want to get too comfortable in the friend zone that, to the point where they forget what brought them together. He's saying he wants to know what does he need to do to let her know that they're progressing. She mentioned that she noticed he hasn't been wearing his ring and that regardless of what was going on, she never took her ring off. And that's important because as a married couple, whether you're newly married, you've been in it for a minute, whatever, just because you have an argument, you're going through a rough patch, doesn't mean that the marriage is over. It doesn't mean that, oh, whenever we're mad at each other, whenever we're in an argument, we don't wear our rings. No, you're still married. If you at that point you decide to stay together and you just pissed off, okay, it is what it is, but you still wear your ring. So that's the point she was making. Like, okay, yeah, we've hit a bump in the road, but I've never taken my ring off. And he's just the spoiled brat. Oh, she pissed me off. We're mad at each other. She's not giving me sex. I'm taking my ring off. So then he goes into this whole, well, I don't feel like this is a marriage. I don't feel like I've been a good husband. So until then, I'm not going to wear it. I want to earn it. Like, boy, shut up. So then I had to laugh. So she took hers off too. She said, "Okay, let me know when you're ready, and we both can put we both can put our rings back on." And I was like, "Yes, that's what I'm talking about." Because see, people like Mike, Brandon, Zach, as long as you go with the flow and you allow them to be how they've been acting, they're gonna roll with it. But put your foot down and say, okay, all right, that's how you want to do it. That's how we're going to do it. Because he was shocked. I don't think he thought that Mika was going to take her ring off too. But and in her confessional, she was saying, look, he not about to walk around here as my husband with his ring off, looking like he's single, while I'm walking around here looking like, oh, this married woman. You taking your ring off? I'm taking mine off. So, um, then she asked him, what does he need from her to move forward? And then he goes into, oh, communication. I need you to communicate with me and talk to me. You're talking to everybody else about things that we should be working on. I just need you to communicate with me and allow him to make mistakes and grow. Okay. First of all, as far as the communication, that's all she's been doing. I think Mika has done a great job at communicating exactly what she feels, exactly what she thinks, and very direct with it. Like, you don't you understand exactly what she's saying and where she's coming from. Mike, on the other hand, he's lying. He talks in circles. He doesn't. He's just not a very good communicator. So when he says that, I'm like, she came out and told you exactly how she feel. But when she's trying to have that conversation with you, you're the one that shuts down. So it's that whole mind game going on. Um, and then when he says, and be allowed to make mistakes and grow. So Mika, she was cool, she was calm, and she said, "Okay, but when I tell you repeatedly that, when if it's something I don't like and yet you constantly do it, you can't expect leniency." And I agree with that. It's like if somebody's telling you over and over, look, I don't like this, don't do this, and you keep doing it, you know what you're doing. You're trying to get under that person's skin. And so he just sits there. They eventually agree to work on it. So I think later on they were like taking a selfie together. So it and smiling. So it looked like everything was good. Right? That's what we thought. Okay, so now we are at the couple's dinner. Everyone shows up, and as soon as everybody sits down, Austin asks, how does everyone feel like their marriage is progressing? Just talking about the experience thus far and how do they feel like things are moving along. So Katie gives her answers, which is a good answer. I mean, they're doing good. Everything's moving along for them. Then Jessica asks Mike and Mika. So Mika says she knows that, coming into this was going to be a little hard, because you're marrying a stranger. But she didn't think that it was going to be that hard. And that it's hard for her, being with someone you don't feel comfortable with. And she almost made it sound like she's trapped. She's like, there's nothing you can do because you're tied to this person. Now, I've heard that, and I don't know how true it is, and I can't remember where I read. I think it was on some blog, some message board, where they were saying how the contracts that they have, um, I don't know if they have to stay in it for so long in order to get paid. I don't know. But when she said that, it made me think of that. 'Cause she was like, you're tied to this person. Now, I'm wondering if this season, because if you remember last season, they did the whole, I think it was after 4 weeks, where they gave them the option to leave. I'm really curious if they're going to do that this season. I hope they do. I think they should do that every season. Anyway, in the meantime, so while Mika is talking, looking like she's on the verge of tears, Mike over there having an ASMR mukbang moment, like he's just eating. He finally stops chewing long enough to say, um, basically repeating word for word what Pastor Cal and Mika said about, starting over as friends. Um, he was saying that, he someone mentioned that he didn't have his ring on, so he was like, "Yeah, we're starting off as friends, and I feel it's important, to be this and that type of husband, and blah 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 blah, just going on and on." And I think he was expecting Mika to say the same thing, which I'm not gonna lie, I thought she was too, because to me, once okay, so when they were at the pool and when they were with the couples, and she was telling them, basically giving them the dirt on how he was, what he said, how she was feeling, how things were going. I was totally fine with that. You asked her, she was being honest. But I feel like once they sat down and agreed, like, this is what we're going to do, we're going to start over, we're going to be friends, we're going to work on this. You cool, I'm cool, this is what we doing. I feel like once they're in this setting and she's now asked how are things going, I mean everyone already know what was going on. So if she has said, hey, we started off rocky but we agreed to start over as friends, blah 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 blah, basically what he was doing, I would have been cool with that, because you did agree to. Now like I said, unless something else went down and they edited it out and we didn't see it, but I guess, and you know what, I mean, she has every right to change her mind. Maybe she had to change her heart and she's still really hurt by it and is struggling with the whole starting over. It happens. But I will say I was a little shocked that she went back to that place. So Taylor asked Katie about last night. So apparently when they were in the pool and they were talking about being intimate, Katie was like, hopefully something go down tonight, ask me tomorrow. So they're at the table and Taylor's like, oh yeah, Katie told us to ask her about last night. So, they revealed that well, they didn't come right out and say it, but they beat around the bush. And Katie was saying how, Derek had the rose petals, the candles, and the wives, they were so impressed, especially Mindy. Mindy is starving right now. So she was, clapping her hands and she just seemed really excited for them. So they all, raised their glasses and congratulated Katie. And then I think Katie asked Jessica, so, did you guys do anything? And I find it funny how everybody is so nosy until the question comes to them. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe we did, maybe we didn't. And it's like, okay, we're adults and, we enjoy being with each other. And it's like, girl, oh, now you want to be a grown up? Because all this time you've been acting like the little giggly schoolgirl. And so then Austin was like, I don't kiss and tell. They just killed me. And they really did. Because I'm like, all this time the way y'all been acting. Now y'all want to act like it was kind of creepy a little bit, but so then Mika was like, okay, blink once for no, blink two for yes, blink twice for yes. Um, but anyway, so they all had a laugh, and that pretty much was it. That concluded dinner. So we now know that Derek and Katie and Jessica and Austin consummated their marriage. And I mean, those are the only two that I would expect. Because everybody else marriage is in shambles right now. All of the couples are now back in their rooms after dinner, and nothing special, nothing particular except for Brandon. So Brandon decides to copy Derek's idea, which isn't nothing new. I mean, rose petals on the floor, candles, all of that. It's not like Derek invented it, but I'm one of those people. I Even if I wanted to do it, I'm not gonna do it right after that person, because then it just looks like you're copying. It's not genuine or sincere. But Brandon, so he has rose petals on the floor, the bed, the tub, candles, all of that. Taylor seemed really, happy with it. Um, they got into the tub. They were a little. It was a little tight. It was a little tight, but they were in there, and kissing and laughing and talking, and yeah. So that is it for this episode. Of course, we saw the previews. It's going to be some drama. I'm beginning to think that Brandon has a problem with drinking. Brandon is either, it's something going on with him, because he's almost bipolar. Like, he's so hot and cold, and when he's hot, it's extreme. And he sometimes, like, I don't know. Sometimes he kind of has this look like his eyes are sleepy, they're low. I don't know. I don't know if the dude is alcoholic or he's doing drugs. It's something going on with him. And drugs meaning, he could be on prescription. I don't know. But I do remember, if I'm not mistaken, in the clip, the preview for next episode or some episode. I don't know if it's next, because y'all know how they do. He's in the elevator and he does have a glass in his hand. So yeah, I'm inclined to think that he is an alcoholic. He has a problem, and that causes his mood swings. Anyway, guys, that is it. That is my review. Married at First Sight, season 10, episode 5. Please make sure you leave your comments below. And until next time, take care.